And they have the little man. But they had the road.
Order at 7 p.m. Call the roll.
Okay, trustee Wangles,
Here.
trustee Haig,
Here.
trustee Hall,
Here.
trustee McCurdy,
Here.
trustee Pini,
Here.
trustee Tarnow,
Here.
president Kubiak.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Okay. We do not have public comments tonight, so we're going to move straight into special presentations. Tonight, we have a proposed development overview presentation of a commercial multi-tenant building at the intersection of Route 72 and Rhine King Road. Nick?
Yeah, well, you did a great job introducing that, Amber, so thank you. But just for a brief recap of that, like Amber said, this is for a proposed commercial development at the intersection of Illinois Route 72 and Rhine King Road. S&V Properties owns 4 of the 5 parcels there at the corner and is proposing a commercial development that is currently contemplated to accommodate 5 tenants. At this time, staff is simply looking for direction and feedback from the village board regarding the development. With that, I will turn it over to Kevin to give an overview of the development.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin Ruckram from KPMG Architects. I'm here on behalf of Stephen Colbert to talk about the architecture.
My name is Sam Patel. I'm the owner of the property, and we here represent the business side of this development. So you can take over.
Yeah. Okay, so as you can see, I believe you also have it in front of you. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Okay. No worries. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, so this is I guess you could say a multi-phase site with multiple commercial buildings. The area that is highlighted at the top is the first phase that we will be talking about tonight. Overall, the site will have kind of a mix of uses. On the lower right will be kind of a grocery store, and we have retail spaces, another kind of drive-through restaurant set up on the upper left. The one we are talking about, apologies. Okay.
Rhine King.
Yes.
To the north of 72.
Okay.
Yeah. Up here is 72. Okay, so the building we are talking about, I would zoom in, but I don't know how to do that effectively. It'll be a multi-tenant space that will have a drive-through tenant on the one side, which is why you see that nice drive-through wrapping around in the back. It's a drive-through with a long queue and nice comfortable curves. Thank you. Yeah, no, definitely.
I don't know how to get this blue gone, but there we go. Can we see that a little better?
Thank you. Maybe we can be indulgent and zoom in a little more. Anyway, as I was saying, on this end here, we will have a drive-through, a tenant that will have a drive-through with a drive-through queue wrapping around the back. It's a nice long queue with good curves that most drivers in any kind of cars can get through. On the lower left here, we have some masonry trash enclosures, and around the around the building. And in the front, we have plenty of parking that we feel will confidently fill any kind of tenant space that will be going into, or fill the requirements for any kind of tenant space that will go in there. Okay. As for, oh, geez. Oh, that was the page I wanted. So yeah, this has a little more labeling. You can see some dimensions on it if it wasn't so fuzzy. Like I stated before, we feel very confident that this setup will work and it'll be a site plan that most drivers in any car can get through. These are concepts for the actual building. It'll be, like I said, a multi-tenant space with a kind of varying design of cementitious panels and storefronts. The white paneling here will be glossy white Nichiha panels. Just so you know, those are 18 inches tall by 6 feet long. So it'll be a nice kind of solid look. Then in between will be cementitious panels as well that look like wood tones. They'll be colored kind of a nice cedar color. As you can see, it's kind of like a side view here. There'll be the drive-through tenant on the side to kind of orientate yourself where you were with the drive-through, or sorry, the site plan. And then in the front, you have this nice varying facade that will look very nice from the road and give a nice presentation for the businesses inside, in which case I will turn it over. Oh, yeah. You can jump back if you want.
So I'm Steve Schandelzer from Manhard Consulting. We're the civil engineer on the project. So we helped with the site layout, and we're also working through,
If you do want the site plan to run that.
excuse me, the review with IDOT. So how much did you get into it so far? Okay. So so the site plan, there was a PUD that was already approved for the site, and we laid out the site plan as based on the guidelines of that PUD. But what this drawing was to show is how we were phasing it. So phase one is the retail building that you see there. We highlighted kind of a overall view of it on that second page. And we're also working through what roadways and which circulation drives would be part of that phase one improvement. So
I'm not sure who I should start with my questions to. I guess you had stated that you guys are working with IDOT. How far in the process are you with IDOT right now?
so we did our data collections. We had our traffic consultant go out and do traffic counts, and we're preparing the report, but we haven't made our IDOT submittal yet.
Okay. What are you looking for in terms of entrances from Route 72 onto the property and then also on Rhine King?
So I'll zoom in so you can kind of see them. So on Route 72, we would have one full access. That's the western access that you see. There is a right in, right out that's being proposed as you get closer to the development. There's a restricted access along Rhine King and then a full access along Cambridge Lakes.
In terms of the full access on Route 72, how far are you from the intersection? How many feet?
I don't have the number off the top of my head, but we have been working with the traffic consultant and it does meet the IDOT threshold.
1,500 feet?
Mhm.
Okay. And then in terms of the site plan, I'm looking at it and I'm seeing different phases, but I don't see any stormwater management on here. Do you?
So that we worked with staff and the stormwater management to the south has detention that was allocated for our development. So there was a pipe that was installed that was part of an easement that carries it to the stormwater system, and then the detention was provided as part of that development.
Okay. And then my next question is what is the timeline for this development? When are you looking to start this? When do you want to start?
The green light.
So if we gave you the green light, you guys could start
We would need IDOT,
approval.
That's
but I
what we have
mean,
by that.
we're ready to dig once we have green lights all around.
Okay, I mean, right now, the reality with IDOT is once the report is submitted, I would say 12 weeks is about where we're at. I'm certainly willing to help as much as I can, but
Yeah.
12 weeks is where we're
Yeah.
at with them.
We understand.
Okay, does anyone else have any comments?
Really quick, can you guys speak to the proposed users for the building?
So we have like 6 units and pretty much all are full. So first one drive-through, which is we have a couple options for Right. So drive-through, we have a couple options, which is people are ready to go in as a coffee shop or tropical smoothie. They both are ready to go in. We're not gonna mention the name of coffee shop because of the, they don't told, they told us not to say anything yet, so we don't wanna disclose anything. And then the second one we have is a gaming cafe. That's a concept we wanna do. The third one is the biggest part is a 5,000 square feet Armani Wine Spirits. And then we have Jimmy John's, which is already approved site for Pingree Grow. And I'm the franchisee of the Jimmy John's. Also a haircut salon, that one is ready to go in. So they are ready to go also. And one more, it's a pizza place, which is, we have 3 options. I can say loudly, which is Domino's, Pizza Hut, or either Papa John's. They all 3 ready to go in. So pretty much,
What was the name of that cafe you mentioned?
so, I mean, gaming cafe, sorry.
Okay, again, I'll just kind of make this known up front. I'm adamantly opposed to adding another gaming location. Just for, we have enough of those. You're putting one of those gaming locations kind of directly in a residential neighborhood, so someone that may have some addictions, you're throwing that right in there. I just don't see the benefit. I think that we could use other amenities in town personally.
I mean, at this point, I don't have any comment, but we'll reconsider again. Yeah, thank you. Any other question?
When are you gonna start the other phases, or how long is the whole project gonna be?
So once we done the first phase, once that the building goes up, then there's a lot of interest already with our the realtor people. They have all,
Infrastructure in order to sell the outlets or. do
Right.
leases or Further developments,
yeah. So once
we're not
they,
opposed to additional developments.
Yeah.
Within this outlot, but we need to get the roads.
And all these roads will be connected inside the development,
yes,
go to any one of them.
yes,
Okay.
the all roads gonna be connected on a first phase. So it's easy to do, go to the second phase, so.
So all the infrastructure you guys are planning on the first phase, essentially like the roads and everything?
Yes, all the roads, all the pads gonna be ready, your utility and everything gonna be on every pads ready there, so it's easy to people come in.
Something to market, so development can get completed, as soon, as quickly as possible.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. And do you guys have other developments you've done elsewhere or?
Yes, I own one in Marengo,
Okay.
right on 20, which is Dunkin' Donut and Armenian Pharmacy and all
Okay.
that. So we done that in 2019.
Oh,
Yes.
gotcha.
Mike also has a lot of interest, a lot of.
And my
experience.
partner has also a lot of them. We just put one truck stop in Belvedere on I-90, the brand new one. So
How many square footage would that gaming cafe be or proposed?
we're thinking about 1,200 square feet.
1,200?
Yes.
Okay.
Does anyone have anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thank
guys.
you.
Is anyone excited? The potential development of a commercial outlet that was approved 15 years ago and just get this thing done.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we're excited. It's just, I know how IDOT works, so I'm excited and I'll be more excited when you have a proposal.
Okay, that's good.
I just mentioned then we'll follow up with you gentlemen and we'll continue to move it forward through the process.
Thanks so much, Andy.
Thank you, guys. All right, we're gonna move into the consent agenda. Tonight on the consent agenda, we have the approval of minutes from June 16th, 2025 Village Board meeting, the approval of the warrant list for July 7th, 2025 in the amount of $4,534,718.94. The approval of the warrant list for July 21st, 2025 in the amount of $456,321.19. And the approval of the warrant list from August 4th, 2025 in the amount of $264,890.93. And finally, the approval of the pay application number 21 for wastewater treatment plant improvements project in the amount of $2,754,167.90. Does anyone have any discussion? If not, can I get a motion?
Move to approve the consent agenda. Second.
Call the roll.
Okay, trustee Wangles,
Yes.
trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy,
Yes.
trustee Charnel,
Yes.
trustee Hall.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Can I do these in omnibus? Yeah. Okay. All right, we're going to move into items for separate action. Tonight, we're going to approve items 7A through C in omnibus form. Those are consideration and approval of a resolution approving the final plat of subdivision for Cambridge Lakes North Development Number 2, Unit 41. Consideration and approval of a resolution approving the final plat of subdivision for Cambridge Lakes North Development Number 2, Unit A-17. And consideration and approval of a resolution approving the final plat of subdivision for Cambridge Lakes North Development Number 2, Unit 2. Nick?
Thank you, Amber. The three resolutions before you this evening are for final approval for the three plats of subdivision, as Amber just laid out, neighborhoods 41, A17, and detention basins. Earlier this evening, the Planning and Zoning Commission met and reviewed the plats and recommended approval by the village board. As with the other plat approvals we've done, I would like to remind the board that this is essentially a formality, as the preliminary plats were approved in the original annexation agreement, and that the approval of these plats does not equate to the acceptance of public improvements within the neighborhoods. The resolutions as always do include the following conditions for final approval, those being the approval of the landscaping plan by the village staff, approval of the declaration of covenants by village staff and attorney, confirmation from the village's engineering firm that all sidewalks conform to ADA requirements and that the minimum width requirements provided for by the annexation agreement, approval of the spray irrigation plans by the village's engineering firm, and final review and approval by village staff, attorney, and engineer. With those conditions in mind, staff is recommending approval of these resolutions and are here to answer any questions that the board may have.
Nick, I have one question. I've looked through this. It doesn't look like there were any changes made from when we approved the annexation agreement. Is that correct? There were no changes made to any of these plats?
Not that I'm familiar with. Seth, were there any that jumped out on you?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, I know, when we had talked to Cole a while ago, they had talked about changing one of the townhome communities to single-family homes. Have we heard anything else from them on that?
I have not on these, and I believe these were all single family, both
Yeah.
A17 and 41 are both full single family developments.
Okay. Okay, no, that's all I had. Does anyone have anything else? Yeah. Can I get a motion?
I just, in good conscience, I can't vote to approve any of the things because he hasn't finished what he started on our side of the street. So just for, I'm gonna vote no, but, he still owes us a fence. He still owes us $300,000 because all the pathways were not poured to code. And he just walks away and starts another development. And I can't say, oh yeah, go ahead, build some more bad homes. So that's all I wanted to say.
Are we anywhere on that, or is the village involved in that, or is that deal done? I don't, that's that.
We tried to sue Horton and Illinois wouldn't let us.
Yeah.
I think you can make a motion, to approve the plats, unit 41, A17, number 2, unit 2 in omnibus form.
So unit 41. Okay.
Or just one, yeah.
This one so move as the village manager Rainey has so eloquently stated.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, call the roll.
Trustee McCurdy,
Yes.
trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee Wangles,
Yes.
trustee Charnel,
No.
trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee Hall.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right, moving on to item D, it's the consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing the release of bonds and acceptance of public improvements on Daniel Boulevard, Phase 2 and Cambridge Lakes South tree bonds. Nick?
Thank you very much. As Amber said, these are for the release of public improvement bonds for Daniel Boulevard Phase 2 as well as Cambridge Lakes South trees. Regarding Daniel Boulevard, the final punch list was addressed and then re-verified by Fairgram and village staff on May 5th of this year. And regarding the Cambridge Lakes South trees, the one-year term of the maintenance bond has come to an end. And per an in-person observation by Fairgram and village staff on May 22nd of this year, all punch list items had been accommodated as requested. Staff is recommending the release of both bonds and are here to answer any questions that the board may have.
Is there any discussion?
Does the Daniel Boulevard include the Daniel Pond or nothing to do with that?
I'm going to defer to Seth on that one.
I don't believe the pond would be part of Daniel Boulevard Phase 2. I don't know that for certain. I'd have to look into the plans, which I can do. But I believe that the pond would be associated with the neighborhood developments.
All right, thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? Now, can I get a motion?
I move to approve a resolution authorizing the release of bonds and acceptance of public improvements for Daniel Boulevard Phase 2 and Cambridge Lakes South tree bond.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy,
Yes.
trustee Charnel,
Yes.
trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee Wangles.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, moving on. Item E is the consideration and approval of Cambridge Lakes North 2 neighborhood and street bond reductions. Nick?
Thank you very much. So finally, before the board this evening are reductions for 6 performance bonds for the following items: Cambridge Lakes North 2 Neighborhood A 15B, Cambridge Lakes North 2 Neighborhood 36B and Olympia Street, Cambridge Lakes North 2 Central Park amenity, pool and pool building, Reinking Road improvements, Cambridge Lakes North 2 Providence Street improvements, and Cambridge Lakes North 2 Neighborhood 36A. The 6 outstanding bonds pending a potential reduction would all have various remaining balances, all equivalent to either 10 or 25% of the original bond amount. These reductions are based upon recommendations from Fairgraham, the village's engineering firm, as well as village staff. Staff is recommending the reduction of these bonds, and we are here to answer any questions that the board may have.
I have a question. On Providence Street, I go down there a lot. It doesn't seem like all the landscaping is done down there yet. What's out, what's there? Is that what we're getting?
Per the letter here, it says primary work is yet to be completed. So I think they're still working on that one. Do you remember that? Someone stick out from the walkthrough at all?
Providence Street, some stuff is in, but the neighborhoods that haven't been started yet, nothing has been finished on those sides, and I believe that's gonna be part of the neighborhood. So it's from the path, the edge of the path inward, from path to the other side of the street.
So then the landscaping would be put in later and we're gonna reduce bonds on that? Is this normal?
Yes,
Okay,
and currently, we are actually looking at the landscaping and generating a list for them.
how responsive are they on the list that you're submitting?
They're fixing stuff pretty fast.
Okay.
I'm not sure on the rest of this. It depends on when they want to release the bonds, that I'll put that caveat in there. If they want to get rid of bonds, they're gonna hurry up and repair stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing I do have concern about is like I said, I drive that way a lot. And Rhine King Road, there's dead trees on Rhine King Road. I'd like to see those replaced. And I feel like with Horton, and I guess I can say this in an open meeting, if we don't have leverage with them, they're just not gonna do it. So anytime I have to give up any leverage with them, I get a little bit nervous.
So we still, once we accept this, have a 1-year maintenance bond on top of that too. But we drove it the other day. There was 2 questionable trees, but I've seen way worse. I'm more worried about the turf up there, and I've made that clear. It seems like they just threw seed down.
Yeah.
And there's rocks and gravel everywhere. And that's gonna be our big thing is I don't want to accept anything until they fix the turf. Fertilizer is not gonna do it. They need to, there are major rocks everywhere. I think it may have been the timing that they did it. They wanted to get seed down, similar to situations not from them, others in town, and then they think that that's good enough. I've said that on my walkthroughs plenty of times.
My other concern with Providence Street is obviously when we had that road built, that was with the intention that all construction traffic would drive on that. And I know, Seth, you and I have talked about this at length many times, but I want to make sure that my comments on public record. I know that the street is poured there's more capacity in there, more asphalt or whatever you want to say. But that's where they're driving all their construction traffic. So again, we're reducing their bonds and they're not done with construction, and that concerns me too.
Okay. So we're saying take Ranking and Providence Street off?
I don't know that we can legally, Michael.
I would note too, and Seth, please chime in here as well, but so these are for performance related bonds for them just doing the work. The idea behind these is, say D.R. Horton goes bankrupt tomorrow and we, the village, are obligated to fulfill the completion of the work. We would then utilize these bonds to pay for it. Since they've performed the work, in some cases 90%, other cases 75%. They meet the criteria for the reduction of the performance bond. As far as the actual making sure the road is, when it's turned over, which these are not turnovers, we're not there at that point. When this is officially turned over, and then afterwards, as Pat mentioned, we'll have the maintenance bond after that too. So I think that it does meet the criteria for reduction of the performance side, not acceptance, not final approval. But as far as actually by definition have
So-
performed the work.
When would the 1 year on Providence start then? Today?
Whenever we formally accept the entire improvement, which we're not tonight. This is just a
These are,
reduction.
these are partial reductions.
And would there be enough money in there if that road falls apart? With the reduction?
That would be in the maintenance bond.
There's enough in there then?
Yeah, Pat, or I'm sorry, Seth, what would the maintenance bond be? Do you know?
I mean, typically the maintenance bond's only 10% of the overall performance bond. The issue, but also the leverage would be is that the village has not accepted the right of way, right? So until it's been accepted, all maintenance and technically is the requirement of DR Horton to handle. So they need you guys to formally accept the improvements.
Which is not what this is.
We're merely stating that, yes, they have built the road per specifications and the bike path is in. We're not accepting it. We're just saying it's built.
So we're just saying it's there, but we're
Right.
not agreeing that it's built to last.
Yeah, if they damage something, right, there, you still have not accepted the improvements. There's still some portion of a performance bond. There's still a maintenance bond. They would have to repair damage.
And before there is final acceptance, there will be more walkthroughs, but then ultimately there's a final walkthrough by Fairgram and Public Works to make sure that all the landscaping is there, the dead trees are replaced.
The Providence Street was always like a concern of mine simply because I watched when they did my neighborhood. They did the first half of it first, which I didn't want to do it this way. Then they did the second half second. And you watch the trucks every day, and then a year and a half later, you got cracks up and down the road, worse than that. And this is actually a main road. I mean, at least my road was a side street. It's not crazy, you know. So why they build it the way they do, I guess is above my head, but I don't want to release this road until we know that we're not gonna dump $200,000-300,000 into it within the next 4 or 5 years. And I don't know how you do that, but we need to find a way because that's not right. You know, they shouldn't be driving trucks on a finished street.
So is there a requirement that we have to release it?
Well, yeah.
I would defer to Michael on that.
Is there a requirement?
Yeah, so I haven't been asked to look at the annexation agreement or what could be any of the relevant 9 amendments. But here's what I suspect is that staff has worked with our consulting engineer, that my understanding, listening here tonight, is that given the amount of materials and labor that this does meet the criteria for release under the original annexation agreement as amended. Is my understanding correct?
Well, and you guys tell me, I just don't want Providence released until a year or 2 after the whole thing is done. And that's not doing that, right? Like, we're not gonna do that.
That is not what this is.
Right, that's all I want to
That
make
is
clear.
another
That's-
question that we will talk when the time comes to fight, because
Yeah.
to be like full
As long as they're using
frank,
that road,
yeah.
I don't want to release that road until there's no more construction, no more trucks. And then there's been an ample amount of time, 4 seasons, 8 seasons, whatever it takes to say, okay, this road, we've tested it, we've looked at it, it's gonna hold up per code standard, whatever.
Full disclosure here. So I've spoken with staff I've spoken with President Kubiak about this too, because we understand that there are legitimate concerns from the board on final acceptance, which is not what we're doing tonight. When the time comes for final acceptance or when it's requested, it will be the engineers, public works, legal will be involved, and we will bring to the board a full explanation of what we are legally obligated to do. And we're going to do whatever we can to make sure that we get the value and we get a good road. I can't answer all that questions now, but that is not what this is.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was all I really cared about. I'm not releasing that road until that thing is done.
Does that sound fair, Seth and Pat? I mean, as we've talked about before.
Yeah. Our obligation is as they complete the work that they're under a performance bond for, when they ask for releases, we simply go out there, we identify the fact that what they're asking for release of, from a bonding standpoint, is commensurate with what's been actually completed. It does not mean that any of the improvements are being formally accepted. It simply means that the bond is being reduced by what they've been
Okay,
completing.
and what about those trees that Amber's speaking about? The dead ones, is that under this?
Those will be on the punch list
Okay,
for the final acceptance.
and then it's a year after that?
Yes.
Okay. All right,
All right, if there's no more discussion, can I get a motion?
I move to approve the reduction in bonds for NHA 15B, NH 36B, Central Park, Ranking Road, Providence Street, and NH 36A, in the amounts recommended by the village engineer.
second,
Call the roll.
Trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee Tarnow,
Yes.
trustee Hall,
yes.
trustee Wingles,
Yes.
trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, item F is the consideration and approval of an ordinance authorizing an intergovernmental agreement by and between the Village of Pingree Grove and Community School District 300 regarding the receipt of developer contributions. Andy?
Yes, so this is one of the proposed IGAs between the village and the different taxing entities that provide services to our residents. This has been an ongoing effort from village staff as well as with assistance from President Kubiak on working with the school district and the other taxing bodies. Some have been quicker and easier to work with, like the fire district. Others have taken a little bit longer, but we're happy that I think on all fronts we've made progress. I expect maybe not the next meeting, but the meeting after, we'll have the Huntley Fire Protection District IGA as well. But in general, this is an IGA that covers essentially the legal basis for the village to share impact fees that we collect from D.R. Horn for the construction of homes in CLN2. The amount of fees collected depends upon the bedroom size of the individual units that are constructed, which fluctuates based upon market demand. So it's not, it's not possible to say there will be exactly this much money to be provided. I can tell you right now at this time, we have a little bit over $900,000 that's been collected in school impact fees to be provided to the school district. This agreement itself, and I'll let Michael just touch on it a little bit too, because he worked a lot on this too, is basically to cover the village in the case that should a developer in the future or D.R. Horn, although it's not likely because they agreed to it, were to sue the village over the collection of these impact fees. This is something that there's a lot of case law and history about with previous developments all across Illinois of developers trying to sue municipalities for collecting the impact fees. And because of that, these agreements are set up in order to protect the village so that in the case that we were, a suit was filed against the village's interest, the taxing entity in particular would agree to defend the village with their own funds for any legal costs. Michael, is there anything you think I mentioned or forgot to mention?
Just to add that there's particularly sensitivity when we're collecting school impact fees outside the context of an annexation agreement. So this is particularly focused on a situation where if we collect fees through the ordinance and they're not agreed upon, the concern from my part that the mayor wanted to address with several of her goals at the outset of her administration was to try to get these in to protect the village against risk. There was a small industry of attorneys who are going around inspecting school impact fee ordinances and bringing them particularly against entities such as counties that don't have the benefit of having an annexation agreement. So this is meant to reduce our risk, to place it with the school district because they're the ones benefiting from it. And yeah, we've seen progress. We hope to get a couple more of these in place, but this is great.
And this is, in the case of CLN2, we have an annexation agreement, so that's even less of a risk that something could occur. But this is in place not only for CLN2, but for any future impact fees that the village were to collect in a theoretical future development.
Michael, I know that there's a lot of different verbiage in here. This does completely indemnify the village, correct?
Yes. And I think it also includes. Does this contain the language about improvements within the school, within the village's corporate boundaries?
Not this one, not
Okay.
this one.
Not this one. So, yes, I mean, the idea is that if the school district's going to benefit, they're the ones who step in for us and indemnify us if they receive the benefit of those impact fees.
Do we have any say where the money goes? Is that something that we can make an agreement with them? I mean, we're giving them all this money. And if it's not benefiting the kids in the town, is there agreements like that out there? I mean, we're gonna hand them $900,000 and it may all go to Carpentersville.
I think their response there, because I've been working with the school district on this, is that no impact fees were paid to the school district for Cambridge Lake South. And so we're now finally paying into that pot. They will not, we've tried back and forth with them to have the money set so that it went for Pingree Grove students only, and they would not agree to that.
Trustee Hall, to answer your question, in my experience, theoretically, could that be the subject of an intergovernmental agreement between the school and the village? Yes. It's just that I've never seen it. It's not that this school district is particularly difficult. I guess the characterization I'd have is it's typical. It's what we've seen in other villages, including Lake in the Hills, which had a tremendous amount of school impact fees. And yet they were still unable to convince the district to have a high school within its boundaries because the school district in that case wanted to have a school campus. So it's just, I can't give you several examples where, yes, you know, the parties got together, there were negotiations, and the money went to something specific.
Last thing I'll mention to that too is we did originally have a provision in there that we wanted them to spend it within the boundaries of Pingree Grove. And then President Kubiak talked about, well, can we make it specifically Pingree Grove students? They said no, because that's not the traditional practice. And I think part of the logic for the school district in that is they are already working on, and I don't know exactly what phase they're in of it, a long-term facilities plan for the entire district, which includes upgrades to numerous schools, including the Hampshire High School. So them constructing a building in Pingree Grove, 900,000 or 1.5 million, whatever the final number is not enough to offset. I mean, the cost to construct a school and run
Right.
start up a new school is many times that.
But out of their whole district, all their impact fees are gonna be coming from us, Hampshire, and it's pretty much the same students. I didn't know, like, if there's a way to say, okay, this money's coming from out here, at least get them a couple new buses or something, so they don't break down 4 times a year. But, you know, I didn't know if that was normal, or do we have to give them the money? Or would we just say, because I'm trying to be nice. I mean, these guys raise the taxes like every year, you know, it seems like, you know, I mean, 90% of our tax bills, the same reason we can't get is going to the school district. I don't know where the money's going. I don't fully trust where the money's going, and now I'm handing them $1 million or whatever.
You know, no, it's not, unfortunately, it's not like we can just keep this money for ourselves and utilize it. I think, Michael, you can clarify this. I think ultimately we'd have to give it back to D.R. Horton. This is not just funds in our general fund that the village can utilize. This is specifically for schools. So it's Horton or the school.
I don't mind helping the school. I just, you know, I just would like this, but if it's not normal.
Yeah, it's a good point. That sound right, Michael?
Correct. The school impact fees have to be used for school impact.
Okay.
Do they have to be given as cash? Or like Luke says, can we give, here's 4 buses, that's your IGA or your.
I like where your head's at. That's a good one.
The typical practice is to either do it in cash or do land donation. In this case, with the CLN2 agreement, it was decided to do it in cash.
That's been my experience, but we can look into this.
If there's no other comments or questions, can I get a motion?
I move to approve an ordinance authorizing an intergovernmental agreement by and between the Village of Pingree Grove and Community School District 300 regarding the receipt of developer contributions.
I'll second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Charno,
Yes.
trustee Peony,
Yes.
trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee Wango,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy,
Yes.
trustee Hall.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Next up is item G, the consideration and approval of an authorization for the village manager to enter into an agreement for the contractual administrative hearing officer services. Andy?
Yes, all right. So the village issued an RFQ for law firms for an adjudication officer. The village received two proposals, one from Levada Law LLC and the other from Bezos, Freeman, Schuster, and Pope. The pricing was very comparable at $180 per hour with the minimum of 2 hours. The only difference was Bezos, Freeman, Schuster, and Pope also wanted to charge for travel time. Because of that discrepancy, the village started working more in depth with Lafada on a proposed agreement for services. Chief Harris, Nick and I, we have gone to see Tom Elsner, who is the primary attorney who would be doing the adjudicator services. We've gone to see him in action at Hanover Park as well as Campton Hills. We liked his demeanor. We liked the way that he was, I think you could say tough but fair, explained the process and handled the courtroom or the hearing well. And with that, we're looking to recommend authorization of the agreement. We've also discussed with him timing for scheduling the adjudication hearing. What we've honed in on is the second Thursday of each month at 2 p.m. For one, that was part of his own availability. And secondly, the second Thursday of the month is very rarely ever a holiday, so it would minimize our instances for having to reschedule. For those individuals who would not be able to attend that hearing at that time, we are going to create a form where essentially somebody can appeal a ticket in a written submission that Tom Elsner would review. And the only other thing, with this agenda item that we're looking to get some feedback on from the village board is what kind of court cost fee would be implemented. For background on that, during the adjudication proceeding, if somebody is found liable, the village's ordinance on adjudication allows for a court cost fee to be charged up to $50. We're interested to get from the board whether or not they think $50 is a good place to start. I also mentioned in the memo we could start at $25 or something lower and go from there. Obviously, $50 is more likely to cover our cost for paying for the adjudicator services, but frankly, $4,000 in the scheme of things is not a tremendous amount of money. And so I'm just interested in getting some feedback on that specific item as well. But are there any questions on the proposed agreement?
Would their court cost be above and beyond the violation fee?
It would be. It would be.
I don't think we should be spending money on this. I think subsidizing it under 50 isn't in our best interest. I think it should be charged appropriately, so I'm fine with 50.
And I would mention too, and I think I put in the memo too, but our plan right now is once the adjudication program is up and running, staff will report back to the village after about 6 months to talk about, how's it going? Is there anything we want to change? Are we covering costs? Because, I mentioned in here, we're not totally sure how many people we're going to get every month. Campton Hills gets about 5 to 10. We're slightly larger than Campton Hills, so maybe we get closer to 10, but we don't really know. As far as how many are going to be contesting their tickets and how many are going to be found liable. So it's hard to do the math of how many we expect to be liable that will be charged this fee. To be clear, if you're found non-liable, if your ticket is thrown away, there is no fee.
Yeah.
So I hear 50 from Trustee Haig. Yeah.
Do we want people to show up to this or not? Because I mean, I don't see, what's the benefit of this? Like, so we write them a $75 ticket. If they come and fight it, we fine them $50. Like nobody's gonna fight it anyway. So for that, like you said, majority of tickets are 75. I know there's some more. There might be a $750 ticket in there. So is it beneficial to adjudicate? Is it better if they just pay it?
Well,
I
I
mean-
think from the village perspective, it's easier if they pay it, but as far as like the person or who wants to contest their ticket, right now, what they do is it's all handled administratively, primarily through the police department, or if they really want to fight it, then they contest it at the county level. This is a more convenient way for them to fight it if they want, instead of having to go schedule a court date and go fight it at the county, they can come to this room right here.
Do we get a lot of people fighting them now with it?
Very rarely, very rarely.
This just basically establishes the due process that someone has to go ahead to contest the violation. That's all it does. We're saying, hey, let's keep it here local. If it goes to the county and the county were to collect it, let's say 75 or 700, then they're gonna go ahead and keep a good chunk of it just to themselves to pay for the process. And we're not gonna really see anything. So by making it more convenient for the resident, we're also keeping the cost down, and anything is staying in Pingree. It's not gonna go down to Kane County.
Right, I get it, but there's part of me that says, if somebody wants their day, give it to them. And we're basically saying, in a backhanded way, yeah, but you're not gonna get it anyway, because it's not worth it to come in a Thursday at 2 when 95% of the people are working. They're not gonna take off work to lose $50.
Well, if they want their day in court, they're going probably at 9 AM down in.
Well, yeah, but they're not gonna do that anyway. It's just, I don't know, whatever, charge them $50.
And isn't this also more than just residents? It can be people pass it. I mean, I don't want to be a Scrooge to our own residents, but this is, construction workers flying through. I mean, it's everybody that could potentially
Well,
be.
it's not speeding ticket, is it speeding tickets?
No, moving violations would not be, it's local ordinance
It's just
tickets.
parking
Parking.
tickets.
Sorry,
Noah's
a
Ark.
landscaper parking or, somebody not following the rules.
And a large impetus for this too. I mean, one, just partly due to the fact that the village is growing, and as municipalities grow larger, this is a common practice. But two, with the intent to increase our code enforcement and building code enforcement and rental inspections programs in the
Oh, yeah,
future,
that's right.
this is very much intricate to that, because Nick and I, we've tried dealing with Kane County on some code violations stuff. We can't do it. We can't work with the county court system for that kind of stuff. That's a big
good
reason
point.
for
Yep.
this. Yeah.
Speaking on the court cost, the 50 seems reasonable. My big thing is we shouldn't have a range. It should be one court cost that's established by ordinance, and there's no fluctuation unless it comes before the board for adjustment. It's got to be one set in stone until we change it.
Is there a minimum to pay this guy or this company law firm?
It's 2 hours, so 360.
If we don't have any cases, do we pay him that month
If
regardless?
he doesn't come out, no, we won't have to, but in my personal experience where I used to work, we had an adjudication program, smaller community than Pinker Grove, that never happened.
Okay.
I don't think that will ever happen.
All right. And is there a way to say there's 15 of them and that's gonna go longer than 2 hours?
Then if it's gonna go to 3 hours, if it's gonna be 3 hours, then we would get charged
Another 180?
180, yeah.
So he's willing, he'll know ahead of time, okay.
Mhm.
And I think it's important to understand that these court costs not only cover the hearing officer, but we have to pay for the DACRA services. There are more expenses that go into this whole program that this is helping cover, not pay for completely, but it's helping absorb some of the costs.
Yeah, I get that. Until he touched on the rentals, I wasn't even thinking of that. I'm just thinking of $50, $75 tickets. Nobody's gonna fight it anyway, so you're not getting the $50, but when it gets into the bigger stuff, I understand that, so, okay. I'm good.
Okay, there's no more discussion. Can I get a motion?
I move to authorize the village manager to enter into an agreement for contractual administrative hearing officer services with Lafata Law LLC.
I'll second.
Call the roll?
Trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy,
Yes.
trustee Tarnow,
Yes.
trustee Peony,
Yes.
trustee Wangles,
Yes.
trustee Haig.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, Item H is the consideration and approval of an ordinance amending various sections related to citation issuance and penalties of the village code. Andy?
Yes, so this is also tied to administrative adjudication. This was a topic previously discussed by the board in May. The impetus for these penalty changes is, well, for one, is the adjudication program. In particular, the problem that was identified was as it related to our parking tickets, our parking violations. Right now, with our parking violations, if it's an overnight parking violation, it's initially a $20 ticket. If it's any other parking violation, it's initially a $40 ticket. At the 11th day after that ticket is issued, it jumps up either to $40 or $80. And then after the 20 days, so on the 21st day, it escalates again. The problem with that, with adjudication, is that per state statute, when someone is given a ticket under an adjudication program, they are entitled to an adjudication hearing at least 21 days from the issuance of that ticket. So what the current scheme would do is it increases penalties prior to the chance to have appealed that ticket and contest it. When we first talked about that with the board, I think another idea that kind of got discussed was, what about for other tickets beyond just parking violations? What happens if someone doesn't pay that ticket? Right now, there are no escalations for anything other than parking tickets. And so what we did with this draft ordinance here, and it is, we think it's ready to go, but if there are concerns or more information the board wants, then we're happy to look into that too. But what we've tried to do with this ordinance is balance a couple of things. One, bring the general, well, first I'll start. One is to implement a scale of escalation for every ordinance ticket that we have, not just parking. This would include code enforcement tickets as well as other police-related tickets like disorderly conduct or, litter, something like that. And to also do that, but to do it in a way that there are escalations, so there is a penalty for continued non-payment, but to do it in a way that is in compliance with state statute on administrative adjudication. And so what we've done is we've retained that 11 days and 21 days, those key dates. However, we've pushed that into past adjudication. So now you're issued a ticket for, let's say, overnight parking. You would get that $20 ticket. That ticket will remain $20 for at least 21 days until you have had the opportunity to go to administrative adjudication. At administrative adjudication, if you are found liable, that ticket was in fact merited, justified, then if you continue to not pay after that, after 11 days, it would then escalate. After 21 days, it would escalate again. So we are implementing escalations on tickets that we didn't have escalations on before to penalize non-payment. But at the same time, people will have more time in the upfront at that initial lower fine amount, that default fine amount. Along the way, as we looked through all the different penalty sections of the code, it also became clear, as this is common in not just Pingree Grove's code, but other codes, there's convoluted, outdated language. So we looked to remove some duplicative sections, some sections that didn't really, how would you describe it, make sense with state law or current state law, to try to clean up the code a little bit too. So we tried to balance keeping things generally the same, implementing escalations to penalize continued non-payment after adjudication, and cleaning up the code. I know it's a fair amount to digest, so with that, just open it up to any questions from the board.
So is that delay up to the day of adjudication? Or is it after you've actually gone through the process? So if I wake up on the day of adjudication, I say, I don't want to do this, I can pay my $20 ticket? Or is it the day of, we know the guy is coming because it's scheduled, the village is paying $180 per hour and they're stuck, or they can just back out?
I think I've seen it both ways. I think what we would look to do is like the midnight before. You have to pay up to the day of adjudication. So if adjudication's on Thursday, you have to pay it. You have to the end of day Wednesday to pay it.
With that, then would we have to change the language? Cause you know, if he's gonna be here Thursday and Wednesday is your time to go, that may be day 22, day 23. It's not always gonna be that 21 day.
It doesn't need to be exactly, it just needs to be more than 21 days. So when we went with the DACRA system, we'll schedule it out, so that so every month or every batch of tickets, there will be a set program date of this is the cutoff date. After that point, you'll go on to the next one.
I know we've had some conversations on the side. I personally don't feel comfortable seeing the tickets escalate prior to hearing. I'd like to see it to go to hearing, maybe default period of time, they get a notice, here's what you owe, then have it escalate. I just think it's wrong to start escalating it before the final order is set.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's what we're looking to do is escalate after the hearing.
No, I'm talking, but we have one escalates on the 11th day.
It's the 11th day after the
Oh,
hearing.
after,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, gotcha.
Or right now it's before, and that's the problem, but
Gotcha,
we would do
okay.
it after the
So,
hearing.
Makes sense.
so 10 days after the adjudication, your fine is the same, plus the $50,
Mhm.
whatever. So if it's $20 ticket, it's $20. Day 11, it goes up to 40.
Mhm.
Right, okay.
Yeah, there would be no escalations before adjudication.
There,
That would be with the $50 add-on though, too, at that point, right?
Yeah, if you were found liable, yes,
So it's only the ticket that is escalating, right?
escalated, yeah.
Reasonable.
is there any other discussion? If not, can I get a motion?
I move to approve an ordinance amending various sections related to citation issuance and penalties of the village code.
I'll second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy,
Yes.
trustee Tarnell,
Yes.
trustee Wengels.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay. Item I is the consideration and approval of an ordinance amending section 1-11-10, towing vehicles of chapter 11, Code Hearing Department, Title 1, Administration, and chapter 9, impoundment of motor vehicles, Title 7, Motor Vehicles and Traffic of Village Code. Andy.
Yeah, we've received some questions and some suggestions about some possible, amendments to this ordinance. So with that, there's no particular urgency, so I'm recommending that, the village board table this and we can resume this conversation the next time. I will just give a brief background for everybody. This is somewhat tied to the last item. This is, more of a cleanup to our village code as it relates specifically to administrative towing. For background, administrative towing, say in the instance of, a DUI where someone's vehicle has to get towed. There is a set hearing process that the village will tow the vehicle. We're able to implement some fines, some fees associated with that towing. And then just kind of similar to adjudication, somebody who has that towed is entitled to a hearing to due process to make sure that that process was compliant with the law regarding administrative towing. This ordinance also touches on some other towing related items within the village code, and our goal here too is to consolidate things that are convoluted or overlapping. We've received some good questions about it, and so we are recommending that we table it and we'll bring it back next time.
I'll make a motion to table.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee Wengels,
Yes.
trustee Tarnell,
Yes.
trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Item J is the consideration and approval of to award of contract with A Plus Painters Incorporated for repainting the municipal center in the amount of $33,280. Pat?
This is one of the 3 RFPs that we released. It's time already, hard to believe, to paint the exterior of the municipal center. If we don't, the coating will continue to degrade, moisture get behind the coating, and rust out the reinforcing metal wire and rebar in there. And it gets very difficult to stop that from ever happening, meaning if we wait a year or two and that starts rusting through, it's very hard to cover it with paint. It'll just keep rusting through the new coating quicker. So this is something that we want to do every so often. We had 10 bidders, 4 responsible bidders. That means they answered all and submitted all the questions that we asked for. A+ Painters was the low responsible bidder. Take them about 2 weeks to mobilize and about 7 to 10 days to paint it. They plan on painting the front of the building on a Saturday, so that they don't affect, our cars aren't here in the way, when they're doing it. So, bless you. Any
Okay.
questions?
Any questions?
So everything I read on these precast buildings, it says it's 5 to 10 years to repaint them. Is there a reason why we're on the lower end? And is there a way to prevent it from every 5 years spending 30,000 rather than stretching it out?
So we've spec'd the best paint Sherwin-Williams has to offer currently, but with water-based alkaloid paints, Sherwin-Williams is saying 5 years.
I'll back Pat on this. I sat with Ian Lamp at a lunch a couple months ago and we had talked about this, Pat and I, and Ian said, yeah, we absolutely want to go ahead and get the building painted this year because otherwise it will rust through and
I'm not opposed to painting the building and I'm not throwing away $1 million building for $30,000, but I'm just seeing if there is, like, who do we talk to about that? Because it just seems like 5 years to paint a building. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Luke, I agree with you, and that's why when we looked at this, instead of having the painter spec the paint, we went out to Sherwin-Williams and said, what paint do you recommend to get the most longevity out of this?
Okay. And is it just this area? I mean, did they say why? Because it's just weird to me. I don't know.
It's the same thing that Lamp told us when we accepted the building, is be prepared to paint it in 5 years. In 10 years, be prepared to paint and caulk all the joints. Every panel has a 1-inch caulk joint, and the caulk joints start failing at 10 to 15 years. We may get 15 years out of our caulk joints. There's only one currently on the building that has a small crack in it that we're going to address with the painting, but 10 to 15 years, the next time we do this, they'll be pulling the caulk out of the joints and reapplying caulk and then painting the building.
If they need to caulk the windows, is that in here? Or you could just do that anyway.
We have a per price per windows. They're supposed to identify if we do need to caulk the windows, we'll inspect, approve. And that was in the addendum. That was a question asked by the group on the pre-walkthrough.
Page 203, Luke. Looks like it's 340 a week.
340, yeah, I seen that. I just wondering if this was enough. If they got to caulk every window in this, I mean, is this enough to approve?
Our initial inspection, we looked at the lower where we didn't get the bucket truck out. It doesn't appear that any need to be caulked.
Okay.
But if they identify something as they're close, we will then look at it and address it as we need to. I didn't go on the back of the building and look at the upper windows on the back of the building either.
No, it's fine. If they got to caulk them, they got to caulk them.
Right.
Just making sure that you don't have to come back here and we're approving 14 windows and then putting it off. But
Is this budgeted already?
Yeah, I will say, so of these bids, we were pretty happy, even though, gosh, we had some issues with some of the contractors, not these ones that we're recommending, with the bid submittals. We are happy with the pricing. We initially estimated 66,000 for this. So we're half, yeah. Yeah, we'll pay for the one in 5 years, but yes.
Andy, for this one, because we have the 33,280 listed on here, do we need to approve not to exceed higher in case we have windows like Luke was talking, or are they gonna have to come back?
If it is beyond Pat's or I's spending authority, we'll have to come back.
Okay.
I don't think it will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of windows.
Yeah, I don't even know if we have enough windows. Yeah.
there's no other, can I get a motion?
I move to award a contract with A+ Painters, Inc. for repainting the municipal center in the amount of $33,280.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Wangles,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy,
Yes.
Trustee Charno,
Yes.
trustee Peony,
Yes.
trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee Haig.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, item K is the consideration and approval award of contract with Tip Top Roofing and Construction Incorporated for replacement of water treatment plant number 1 roof in the amount of $25,895. Pat?
Second of 3 RFPs that we put out to bid. Water treatment plant one was constructed in 2005. It is the original roof, never had another layer added onto it. So the roof now is 21 years old. I think the building's construction started in 2004. We had a couple roof vents last year leaking, and when we had a roofer come out and installed those, he showed us a couple areas that need attention and recommended, a roof replacement in the near future, and that's why we sent this out to bid. There's been questions about other roofing materials. In water treatment plant 1, if the softeners had to come out of the building, the roof comes off the building. There's no door to get the softeners out. Although they could cut them up, they still have to get the new softeners in, and there's no big enough door to put them in. Water treatment plant 2 is designed a little bit differently. We actually have part of the wall that gets sacrificed to get a softener out of the building, so you don't have to sacrifice the roof. So doing a alternate like metal roof that might last considerably longer might not be the best idea. I know when we rehabbed the softeners in 2017, there was concern that there might need to be some replacements or some welding work. At that time, there wasn't. Everything was in good shape, but in another 5 years, we're going to need to replace the media and those softeners, and it could warrant pulling a softener or all 3 out of the building, depending on what they discover once they get the media out of the softener. So a asphalt shingle roof is the best option. The shingles that we did ask or spec in the RFP are wind and hail rated class 4 shingles, and I did ask for them to be installed per class 4 standards, which is 6 nails per shingle instead of the 4 to 5. And we'll make sure that they do that, that they are doing that. This particular contractor that was the low bid told them it would be about a month to mobilize. He's gonna, number one, get us a couple color choices. We're gonna match the new building roofs, is what we were anticipating. And then once he is able to get the shingles, he'll schedule a time. And he said it'll probably take 3 to 4 days to do the roof. Is there any questions?
Are you saying that we're gonna have to rip the roof off in 3 years, possibly?
I don't anticipate ripping the roof off in 5 years, but there's always that possibility if one of the softeners fails. So because of the tremendous pressure of water going through the media and all the weight, there's a floor in the bottom of the tanks that could collapse. And if that collapses, they usually don't fix it on site. It usually means if the damage is enough, replacing it. More than likely, it'll be 20 to 30 years down the road before we have to do that. But putting a metal roof on that might last 50 years is not a good idea, because probably in the next 20 to 25 years, the softeners and the vessels are going to need to be replaced. There's a good chance.
So we're ripping the roof off now, right? Correct?
We're putting a new asphalt roof on is what we're proposing to do,
And
yes.
Why can't we just put like an access panel there to like?
It's a
open it up,
truss,
crane
it's
it
a
out?
truss roof.
They
It's
won't
not,
fit through the trusses?
no. They'd have to depending on what they pull out, they'd have to pull a section of trusses out to do that. The softeners are not your typical household softener, if you don't
Well, I
recall.
figured it's not that small, but
They're 12-foot wide, so it'd be quite a few trusses that would have to come out.
so they built a building that you can't get the equipment out of. Is that what you're telling me?
That's what they did in 2004, yes.
And there's nothing we can do, Mr. Engineer, nothing we can do while this is off to prevent when we can get this, pull it out with our crane truck?
We could certainly have our structural team look at it and see if there is a way to, install additional beams for bracing. to create the panel areas. I don't know that it can be done without, basically reevaluating the entire roof structure.
Or
Because you're
wall structure.
transferring load to different, beams that weren't designed for that. So it would you'd have to probably reevaluate the whole roof construction and see if it can be done.
Pat, you had mentioned just now about 3 years down the road, we're gonna have to do some.
5 years.
5 years, and that might reveal if further work needs to be done.
Mhm. So
What shape is the roof in? I mean, do you think we could kind of Band-Aid this along a little bit?
my guess is that once they get the roof off, we're gonna be replacing a couple panels, sheets of plywood. I think it's time, and I don't think it's gonna make 5 years. I don't think 5 years waiting is good. Well, we don't want the inside of the structure, the wood trusses to get wet and deteriorate their ability to hold the snow loads. Even though we aren't having snow, if we do, we want to make sure that the roof doesn't collapse. In 2017, when we did the softeners, they fully anticipated having cracks and having to do some interior welding. We didn't have to weld a single thing. There was not a single crack that was found, and they not only did a visual check, they, I believe, x-rayed the tanks to see if there was any structural. So that's always the possibility. I want to hope for the best, but plan for the worst.
If there's no more discussion, can I get a motion?
I move to award a contract with Tip Top Roofing and Construction, Inc. for the replacement of water treatment plant 1 roof in the amount of $25,895.
I'll second.
Hold on. Okay, so I want to get this math right. So 25 to 30 years, right? We're gonna be ripping a roof off, possibly.
We could be in that building, yes,
The roof we're about to put on just lasted 20 years.
that's correct.
So in 20 years, we're gonna rip a roof off, and then 5 years later, take the whole damn thing apart. Rather than just putting a metal one on right now, that's gonna last the whole duration, whether it's 25, 30, or 35 years.
Glass floor shingles should last longer than 20 to 25 years. It's hail and wind resistant when installed properly. So it is the latest and greatest. I believe it's a 40-year shingle.
You got 40 years, Pat. I'm gonna come get you after you retire.
Okay. I hope I make it that long.
All right, call the roll.
Trustee Charno,
Yes.
trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy,
Yes.
trustee Wangles,
Yes.
trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee Haig.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay. Item L. Consideration and approval to the award of the contract with Michael Signs for the fabrication and installation of gateway signage and police station marquee sign. Pat.
So I'll talk about the gateway sign. I know a little bit about the police signs, but I'm gonna chime over, let the police talk about that portion. So, again, third of 3 RFPs. This is for new signs, entryway signs in the village. 6 spaces that we can do. 3 of them are in current areas that have construction contemplated in the very near future, and we don't want to put a sign up and then the next year have the sign ripped down. So the plan was to do a design for 3 that are put in right away, and then in the next 2 years or so, if construction goes as we think it'll go in those areas, add the 3 additional signs. On this one, we had, sorry, I can't remember how many entities bid the signs, but was it? It was 4 to 5. The low bidder is out of Wisconsin. And talking with them, they're pretty easy to work with. We had an option at the request of the board for Trex. 2 entities said they've never done a sign with Trex. It's not typically structural, it's plastic. And what I worry about Trex is normally you don't stain it if it grays. Trex, the brand name, is usually pretty good about not graying. They recommended an alternative. potentially. And we can discuss that, but it's an engineered piece of wood that retains its stain for a lot longer than, say, a treated cedar tone. Their recommendation was if we were just going to go Trex or the other, is just go with a treated cedar tone and stain it every so often versus Trex. They just didn't feel that the Trex was going to hold up long term, but they gave us prices for both. So we'll leave the decision to you guys on what you'd like to see.
And Pat, can you also talk about the third option too, the one that the one that I always
It's a
butcher.
Paralam.
Paralam.
Yeah, so
Please talk about that too.
Paralam is engineered wood where they're using weather-tight glues to glue it together and it comes pre-stained. Anybody that is in construction, if you've seen a microlam in a house, it's this, size similar to common 2x8s, 2x10s, 2x12s, but a microlam can carry much more weight. And what is a bunch of boards similar to plywood, thin boards glued together. And it actually, showed us a sample. It looks pretty nice. You're still going to have end grain that will stain darker than the wood, but that would be common on any wood. But they've used that in signs elsewhere, and they've had good luck with it. And it gives a simulated wood look and requires less maintenance than staining treated or cedar.
With that, before we go to the police sign, I think we can separate this into two motions, one for the gateway signage, one for the police sign. With the gateway signs, staff is recommending the utilization of the treated Paralam for the maintenance advantages. The total cost of 3 signs is $50,100 to replace the 3 signs indicated on the map exhibit. For context, this was a project budgeted at $75,000. So fortunately, we are in a little bit below on this one as well. Are there any questions on the gateway signs?
So the other 3 we're waiting on, how long do we think we're waiting? And
I'll
we're
ask
gonna be able to
IDOT.
match the ones that we put in now?
Yeah, I'll ask IDOT, but so the 3, the 3 that we're waiting on potentially are one that's we have 47 in Big Timber, and as you know, we've had some preliminary talks about possible development up there. We'll see where that goes. The other one is would be one somewhere near Route 20 and Ryan King Road, which the Elgin IDOT project continues to move forward slowly. We'll see where that goes. And then the other one would be on Route 47, south of the intersection of 47 and 20. And so that is where we're currently in talks with the Trauman and Doms for the Jewel development. And there's also, talk about or the beginning of looking into on IDOT's part for Route 47 expansion, which that would be more than 3 years out. But because those 3 areas are somewhat in flux over the next couple of years to see what way development goes and infrastructure projects get completed, those are contemplated to be done at a later date, but to replace the 3 that are existing right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so is there a motion to award a contract to Michael Signs for the fabrication and installation of gateway signage in the amount of $50,100?
So moved.
I'll second.
Call the roll.
Okay, trustee Peony,
Yes.
trustee Turno,
Yes.
trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee Wangles,
Yes.
trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, so then Chris, can you take the police marquee sign portion of this?
Yes, I could do that for you, please. So as it says in the board report, back in 2008, when the building was originally designed, there was a conceptual plan to have electronic marquee sign actually placed there. Due to budget cuts, the building was reduced by a large amount, taking that off. But when they built it, they still put the tunneling in and everything So we can do the wiring and everything out there. That's what makes our sign different than the other gateway signs, is ours will be electronic marquee sign. So this past year, I brought to the board that I wanted to look into getting that started. So I had a conceptual design and we put it out to bid, and this is what we came up with. The electronic sign is there because it is also going to be able to alert the residents and about driving under the influence of alcohol or speeding, slow down. So we can use it for certain things for traffic enforcement, and therefore I can use a specific budgeted area for that we have designed for enforcement purchases, and that's what I wanted to use this for. So the reimbursement funds that we get from DUIs, that can go into a separate fund. It has to be used for the education or the training of impaired driving and driving or outreach program, which we plan to use. We can also use it for other things like the upcoming National Night Out, or that we have the Independence Day. We can put anything on there. It doesn't just have to be that. But because we will use it more or less for traffic focus, I am allowed to use those funds for that. So we went out to bid, and there are different electronic signs we looked at. There's a 10 millimeter and a 6 millimeter electronic sign. And in the end, being that this is going to be a permanent structure that will hopefully be there for many, many years to come, it looks like that we were looking to do the higher at 46,610, which is under the $50,000 budget that was originally asked for during budget season. If anyone else has any questions, I'll be willing to answer.
How long does this thing last? Like, is it a 30-year, 40-year?
I'm hoping it's going to be there a very long time. I'm hoping it's going to be made out of brick. And I'm going to try to match it as close as possible to the design of the police department. Now, is it possible someone can go off the road and run into it and knock it down? Yeah, no different. But I'm hoping it's going to be there for a while. It's also going to change the aesthetics of the police department, because when the police department's actually set back from Rankin Road kind of far, you'll be able to identify the police department as you come up. They'll be lit up at night. We have the sign. I think it's going to make it look very professional and up to speed with the other municipalities in the area.
Yeah, I will say my understanding is that the LED part of it, that may not last as long as the rest of the sign. I think that's
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think that's closer to 15 to 20 years.
And by that time, who
And-
knows, well, there'll be OLED or translucent bulbs or whatever else, but
It'll be virtual reality
Sure.
or something at that point. But
this is just to change the aesthetics of the police department, to kind of bring it out to, we're a different police department than we were 20 years ago, and we want to make sure it's eye appeasing to the people also who want to come and work for us.
Is there any other discussion? If not, can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the marquee sign for the police department by Michael Signs.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee McCurdy,
Yes.
trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee Wangle,
Yes.
trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee Charno,
Yes.
trustee Pini.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Hey, we're gonna move into staff reports. I'm gonna move right to Andy. Andy?
yeah, I just have one quick report at so next board meeting, August 18th. That is going to be public hearing for the TIF ordinances, and then at the meeting after that will be consideration for the adoption of the ordinances. And then also prior to the board meeting on the 18th, there will be an open house for feedback on park concept that all of you have seen before for skate park amenities. That's in anticipation to applying for a OSLAD, which is the state park funding grant, by the end of September. The game plan right now is August 18th, we'll open up a period of public comment. There will be an open house that evening, and then for the next 2 weeks, there will be plans available on the village website as well as at the municipal center for residents to come in and leave comment forms. with suggestions for the park plan. At the 18th meeting itself, a park planner from Fair Graham, his name Mark Decker, he will be here to present the park plan to the village board. And then we'll have a little workshop with the village board to discuss and try to finalize some things before the public input. And then again, on September 2nd, after the public input period is completed, the board can meet again, workshop to try to come up with the final concept that we want to go for the application for the grant. That's my only report.
Chief?
Just to remind everyone that our National Night Out, it will be tomorrow night from 5 to 7 at the police department, which will also include an open house, walk through the police department with some tours. We're gonna have hot dogs and cotton candy, games. I believe the milk house might even be there. And some other things. It's gonna be a good event. Expecting a good turnout and hope to see everyone there.
Thank you.
Where's the parking gonna be for that?
Speaking with Public Works, we are going to use Ranking Road. We're going to use this facility here, Highland, and maybe Water Street, probably the areas. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of parking over here for events, but we're doing our best. One thing we do not have is the car show, which took up this parking lot in years past, so we'll be able to fill out the municipal parking lot.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Albert?
Okay, since the last time we've met, obviously we've had our audit last month in July. So I'm just kind of in holding pattern, waiting on the final results, getting the reporting back. So this way I could submit to the board some budget numbers, not only for the first quarter, but obviously for results. And then we'll have one of our partner auditors come out to present the report to the board in the coming weeks. I can't imagine that's going to take place before September, but I should be supplying the board with some information this month. So that's all I have.
Good news. Thank you. Nick?
Nothing at this time.
Okay, Pat?
Thank you for approving all the RFP proposals. We're working on a bunch of various items, and one thing that was brought to my attention, currently in Public Works fleet, there's two 2008 International large plow trucks. One was rehabbed in 2018 and one was rehabbed in 2019. That was a sandblast, the dump body and paint, and new hydraulic valves installed at that time. And then 2 years ago, the lower mileage unit had hydraulics, the electronics that control the hydraulics, the plow failed. The parts are obsolete, no longer made. I went out to 3 different vendors and it ended up Monroe had the most affordable solution. We waited on fixing the other one because it worked, and it still does work. The question came up by staff this year. They just looked into seeing what type of backlog on getting the electronic if that were to go out. And the answer we got from Monroe is they're still backed up. Chassis are available, but parts aren't. There's an 8 to 10 week backlog for the electronics that control the hydraulic valves outside the trucks. What I'll do at the next meeting is bring a proposal. We don't have to do anything, but if a truck does break, that truck, there is no fixing it. It's only replacing the control system in the future. It is working fine right now, but even if I could get a part, which I can't, the software is so old, no one has the stuff to reprogram the way the software works. And what happened on the last unit is there's several boxes that talk to the computer and a common cable between the boxes and the various hydraulic things, and one of the boxes failed. I saved all the parts from the other one, and the 2 trucks were programmed the same, but if the same piece goes out this year, we could have an issue. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention. It's a fairly sizable repair. I don't like doing stuff like this, but if we wait till the winter and the truck goes out, it could be 3 months. There's estimating 8 to 10 weeks to get the part and 2 weeks to install it. And it's, 12 weeks potentially. Other than that, we just recently got done putting up the bat houses. We're on the tail end of picking garbage up around the big ponds. The garbage is in the water. along the cattails, so you can't, when you wade in there, you're up to your chest. So we're doing it by boat, and fish nets picking. There's, over the years, a lot of garbages seem to have accumulated there. But we're almost done picking that up. And then recently, we just installed a donation food basket, basically 2 bushel baskets on a nice post with a sign at the community garden for the renters that have extra food vegetables that they don't want, they can put in the baskets, and they're free to anybody that wants to take the vegetables home with them. So, is there any questions for me?
Yeah, Pat, I know there's a lot of questions about the bat houses in general.
Mhm.
Can you talk to again, it's gonna take time for them to actually get in there, right?
Yes, and I'm not in agreement. I'll just make that, I put them up because everybody wanted them. We have bats in the downtown white building. I know there's probably 5 to 10 bats that live in there. I believe there's a bat house over on Damish and Highland, which makes our 4 square mile or 5 square mile area. However, it will take time. Hopefully, we don't have bees go into these because they're really difficult to get out. The boxes don't come apart. So if we have hornet's nest or something like that, and that's something we're going to have to check on from time to time. I follow the numbers and the mosquitoes all the time. By the time we put the first house up, the heat had cooked all the mosquitoes. We had high counts where we sprayed once and then it got really hot and numbers dwindled quick. That's the fastest way to get rid of mosquitoes is extreme heat. But we'll see. We placed the bat houses in an area that hopefully will do some good for the residents, but are still out of the way that if there's a dead bat below the house, someone's not going to be able to get to it easy and have any issues, hopefully. So, I'm not exactly sure how long it takes bats to move in, but I do know there's bats in the area in various places. Andy, do you have
Yeah, I can't, I honestly, I can't recall the time frame. I talked with, bat conservationist, conservation agency, which is essentially just some professors and scientists who like bats. And so they had recommended some particular bat houses that are manufactured in Pennsylvania. We purchased some. It may take some time for them to roost. One of the other recommendations they gave us is to put 2 in somewhat close proximity because apparently bats like to, I don't know, they get picky and they want to change which roost they're going to be in. So we tried to follow the recommendations of the Bat Conservationist Agency, and we'll see where it goes.
I believe I saw it was 1 to 2 years in reading on it that it could take.
That sounds right. Yes.
How about an ad on Facebook? Open house. Pat, I'd like to get those hydraulics you were talking about. What's the cost on that?
$18,777.30.
Is it worth buying one and keeping it on hand? So we're not waiting 3 months?
We can do that, and I can definitely present that option, but they're back ordered right now, 8 to 10 weeks. Once we pull the trigger and say, and it's above both Andy's and my spending authority. It's not an emergency repair because it isn't broken. So I'll bring it to the board. We can talk about it again, but I wanted to prime you for it because it's a large repair that we don't typically like doing. Replacement cost on the truck is about $250,000, and the trucks are in really good shape for their age and still, I think, are worth keeping. We just don't have that many problems typically. It's like computers. Certain computers 15 years ago are obsolete now. So.
All right, thank you, Pat. Seth, do you have anything for us tonight?
Yeah, I'll be brief. MFT project is chugging along. Based on the most recent schedule that the contractor has provided us, the concrete work should be done this week. That's based on their most recent schedule. Obviously, that is subject to change, but then looking to actually get into pavement removal and replacement beginning next week. We did receive tonight before the meeting, a approval on the PE one for the, from the central office, not yet Region One, but from the central office of IDOT for the Ryan King and Damish roundabout. So that's a positive note. And then, with respect to the waste plant, work continues to move along really well. They've, basically continued to do work at every single structure, and managing, moving different subcontractors, between different structures to make sure that, all components of the work are moving simultaneously. So continues to be, in good shape on schedule there. Any questions for me?
Okay, thank you, Seth. Michael, do you have anything for us tonight?
None unless there's any questions for me.
Laura?
Yes, 2 items. The village is hosting a blood drive on Thursday, August 7th from 10:30 to 3, and it's a mobile blood drive here in our village municipal center parking lot, and walk-ins are welcome. And also this coming Saturday, Flood Brothers is holding their 3-cycle event for us here. And it's a drive-through event for paper, electronics, and hazardous waste. And that'll take place again Saturday from 9 to noon. And that's it. Thank you. And it's free and open to village residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Fire, do you have anything for us tonight?
We'll also be here tomorrow night for the national, excuse me, along with our, we bring our Explorer Scouts out, help out with, and we'll also be down in Campton Hills at their national tomorrow too.
Okay, thank you. I see that we have 2 discussions, so Andy, take it away.
Yes, I'll take it away. Chief, please chime in. Same with Michael. First discussion item is the possible amendments to the village code regarding motor-driven scooters and electric bicycle, otherwise known as e-bikes. This is something that staff has received some questions from the board, as well as the community over the course of this summer. This summer has also seen a number of communities throughout the Chicago suburban area implement different kinds of restrictions on e-bikes and e-scooters. This is actually an item that was discussed by our board back in September of last year. First, on e-bikes in general, there's a couple different classification of e-bikes, class 1, 2, and 3, which are described on the memo. Those classes are dependent upon certain speeds at which motor assistance kicks in or stops. Then there's also e-scooters, which are things like just like a traditional scooter, but they have a motor on it. So far throughout the last year or so, as far as incidents go within Pingree Grove, they've been pretty minimal. I can let the chief speak to that some more. But what's more common is sometimes we'll get complaints from residents about concerns of kids on the bike paths, or either being a nuisance or concerns that they're not driving in a safe way. And so we just wanted to bring to the board, because we've gotten some questions from the board and the community about this, to see if there's any preference policy-wise for the board, for the village to do some additional restrictions or regulations to these types of vehicles. As is kind of noted in the memo, the different communities that have implemented restrictions, they vary. Some places do a full-on ban, some places restricted to, you have to have a driver's license to operate some of these. Some restricted to, you can't do it in the streets or you can't do it on sidewalks, but bike paths are allowed. There's some degree of options and discretion that the board has if their board is interested in doing regulations of this type. Before getting too much into the weeds and the nitty-gritty, we just wanted to bring this to the board to let you know that this is something we're monitoring. This is something we've been asked about. I know it's a topic of conversation in the community to a degree. Just wanted to get some initial thoughts before handing it off for questions. Chief, could you speak to this a little bit too, if there's anything else to add?
So we've been trying to keep tabs on this with the surrounding communities and newspaper articles and everything about e-bikes, e-scooters. Our problem is everyone who is doing something like this, they all have such a variety, as Manager Farini said. Everyone's kind of doing something different. No one's got anything that they want to solidly say it's going to be 16, it's going to be 18, driver's license, is it going to be adults, kids? Everyone's kind of got their own thing, and no one wants to be that one to regulate it fully. We have had very minimal incidents with this. We've had a traffic crash, actually in the roadway. We had two kids that ran into each other on a bike path, and then we just had one that I think someone fell and we gave him a Band-Aid. I mean, it's not that big. As Manager Farini said, we have had some concerns of citizens about kids flying on these things, not stopping at stop signs, going through intersections, down sidewalks, not watching where they're going because they don't understand how it is. But we're not really monitoring to the fact that how are we going to enforce this? With the different styles of classes for electric bikes, we can't clock these things with a speed radar. They have to be labeled. It's going to take a lot for this. So we don't have a big concern with this, but it is a concern that a lot of people have addressed due to the surrounding agencies that have it. Huntley, Hampshire just activated golf carts in their community. So is e-bikes the next thing? Other agencies around here, they want to make it where you have to have a driver's license, and then they could be on the roadway. We have kids from ages all the way from 8 probably to 14 that are on these, and they don't understand that they have to look through both ways before they cross the street in these. They don't want to obey by stop signs. Someone may get hurt someday, and I mean, the thing is, are we going to wait for that to happen, or is this something we want to monitor? Or do we want to be the place that takes away all the fun away, as it's been brought to me, the no fun police? We want to make sure that everyone can go out and have a good time. I would like to say, have the parents regulate their children to actually monitor what they're doing, but that's just not going to happen. So as we have talked about this, we want to bring it to the board that we are actually compiling lots of data on this to try to see what we want to do, and we're looking for direction.
Does anyone have any strong thoughts on this issue?
Hey, Chief, is this something we could look, so I could speak to this. I have seen kids on these and blow right through stop signs and into the middle of intersections and cars slam on their brakes, and I've witnessed it personally. Is there a program that could be maybe developed, like an educational program for kids? I don't want to take the fun away either, right? I don't want to be the, Debbie Downer who says you can't ride a scooter around town as a kid. Is that something the police department maybe could look at? Maybe we could have a safety class, or, hey, this is how the road, this is what all the signs mean, wear a helmet, whatever the case may be. Yeah, we can't make kids go to it, but at least it gives us an outlet that we're doing our part as a village to help teach them.
I understand exactly what you're going with this, but unfortunately, there's 16 officers with me and my deputy chief, and our call volume has increased almost tenfold in the last couple of years. To be able to say that I can definitely put together a program of something that we don't have a whole lot of knowledge on, but this is a new thing, this would take a lot of time to develop, and I would have to probably look out to other communities and see what they're doing and try to mimic something like that. And I haven't heard of another community doing anything like this. To be on the ground floor to build this, I don't know if I have the credentials to actually do that, but we can always put out, as I have on other social media posts, how to go around cul-de-sacs and how to go through roundabouts. That my Facebook posts and my people out there, they love those because they're like, wow, okay, but they don't listen. And I don't believe that even if we held a class, like we had a bike rodeo years ago where we had kids come, I maybe had 10, 15 people show up. I mean, that's not going to be the answer. The answer is we have children on devices now where they don't have to pedal and they might lose control. Like we had one where he didn't know what to do and he kind of freaked out and he ran into someone. When you drive a vehicle, you go through a driver's ed program. You have to obey by rules of the road. These kids aren't going to do that. And it's no different than if I say you take a child and put him on a BMX bike and they run through an intersection, it's going to be no different than this, but at least kids ride bikes at a very early age. And this is all going to be about parent involvement and teaching them what to do. I don't think putting it on the police department is actually the right thing to do.
Andy, along those lines, is there maybe the town could put out like it just there's like a specific safety video, like a nationally recognized one, put it out on the, like, I don't know if there is one, but I actually think that the education needs to go further than the children because the kids, sure, they don't always stop at the stop signs, but neither do the adults walking, neither do the adults driving their cars. The walkers don't always stay to the right while somebody's passing. I've watched people walk them dogs with them stupid leashes that go 20 feet and the dog's going out there. Watch the kid go right over it, almost fall off their bike. So there's a lot of education that can go around. This is a shared use path that a lot of people need to learn, kind of like the roundabouts. They're great when they're all driven perfect. Nobody drives them perfect, you know? So maybe there's something in there. Like I was just in the Dells a couple weeks ago and on their path, they had walkers stay to the right, passers go to the left, just little information, reminder signs along the path. And, you know, I get it. There's always going to be the rebels out there that do whatever the hell they want, but at least there's a reminder in there, you know, hey, notify somebody when you're passing them, just a little something in there to give them a constant reminder while they're in the act of doing it.
I think we can certainly look into options for like information campaigns. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is there's got to be some kind of, maybe not e-bike, e-scooter information courses, but some kind of bike safety guides
just in
out
general, I
there.
mean, it's-
If the approach of the board, if the general consensus is let's move towards education and information, I don't know if we can do a full class or something like that with the constraints the chief mentions, but I think certainly we could come up with some ideas for getting the word out to just, to your point of, you know, make sure your kids are looking both ways and being respectful of people on the bike paths and things of that nature. If the general consensus is let's not go to legal restrictions yet, let's focus on public information. We can certainly come up with some ideas and bring it back to the board.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think any laws are gonna be too hard to police. You know, I know Park Ridge just said you have to be over 14. But the police aren't, oh, are you 13 or 14? Keep stopping all these kids. Unless an accident happens, then, oh, you weren't supposed to be on this anyway, but it's too hard or too difficult to follow them around and do that.
No, I don't think that they should be on Wester with the path there. Now, I don't think, are they allowed to anyway? There's just one kid I've seen on there, and that's the only time I've ever been nervous about the kids on those things. He was really good on it, though, I can tell you that, but
You mean on the bike,
he was on the Wester,
like the bike path?
he was on the street
Oh, on the
of Wester, which I'm
I've seen
assuming
like
is,
4 or 5 of them
yeah,
going down.
there's a little group and they're riding these pocket bikes, I'm sure. And that's the only time, so like, and I don't even know if those kids know they're not allowed on the street. Who knows? I don't know what kind of training they're getting at home, if any. And that's why I mean, just having a reminder while they're riding it, or, you know, I'm not asking the police to pull them over, but you know what I mean? Like, hey, get off the road, idiot, you know?
Let us look into that too.
Chief, maybe you know, but what happens if like a 10-year-old on a class 3 going 30 miles an hour slams into a parked car? Is his parents, are they the ones responsible? Like, Michael, do you know?
It's gonna be no different than if someone's on a regular bicycle and runs into a parked car. The thing is, we're putting them on, you're not gonna go 30 miles an hour on a regular bicycle. So you're at a higher speed now. If we did this, it would be by village ordinance, not by state law. So it'd be like, no different as in the village of Pinker Grove, you cannot have a BB gun. We don't allow air projectile guns. It doesn't mean that you can't own them. You just can't use them here. And that's what I want to make sure we get out, that these are things that are going to be under Christmas trees this year. We guarantee it. That's just the way it's going to be. So we can't stop it from happening, but then it's going to be like, oh, we'll just let them go out anyway and play. And then whatever happens, happens. Now, until something bad happens, and then it's going to be, why didn't you do anything? We want to discuss this because we want to be proactive, but again, no community is doing this the same way. So.
To your question, trustee Haig, and Michael chime in and Chris otherwise too, but I believe in that instance, if a child were to run into a bike, then they would be issued a ticket that would go to their parents.
Well, I'm talking about like damage to a car, who's?
It's gonna be a responsibility of the parent is what it's gonna be in the end.
It's gonna be a civil matter.
It would be a civil matter. So, I mean, there would be a report, there'd be a citation, but as far as going after insurance or something like that, that would be handled through insurance or, yeah.
And then we gotta put a 10-year-old on a police report, and I'll tell you, I don't know. We'll see. It also becomes a juvenile thing because they're under an age, therefore there's a lot of restrictions with juvenile law that we can't be actually given out. It could open up all kinds of things that, to be honest, it hasn't been addressed before like this because it's different from a bicycle because of the fact you got speed involved in it. And I can attest to a lot of things with speed.
And they're bigger, heavier.
They're bigger, heavier, and you can lose control of them a lot easier.
I think a lot of towns are taking this up because the way the state is crafting some of these statutes. For instance, the e-scooter, the low-speed electric scooters are prohibited essentially unless a town specifically passes an ordinance to authorize it. So when we take a look at some of these towns, they're passing these ordinances to try and set some guidelines to allow them. But also these e-bikes, Huntley recently passed one to where they have to be 16 years of age, that they can't use them on like the bike paths, sidewalks, multi-use paths and so on, unless they're under manual power. So you're pedaling, you're not using the electric motor and stuff. So I think the way the state kind of haphazardly creates these statutes places us between a rock and a hard place that we have to do something. Technically, a kid cruising down the bike path on an electric scooter is going to be against state statute because we don't have an ordinance that specifically authorizes it. So they're kind of putting us in the catch-22.
Yeah, I can't help but think that most of this discussion is really, we've got 3 classifications, but it seems like the main concern is that those giant tire electric bikes that everybody is saying that look like dirt bikes. I haven't seen anything out of an electric scooter that warrants any of these levels of restriction other than passing someone going a little bit fast. That's all I've seen. Now, I'm not doubting that there's other instances where someone has been hit or someone has fallen or someone has collided. I don't take it any different than a bike collision. The only thing that I see that is a concern are those giant ones where they're going everywhere. They're on grass, they're on street, they're on sidewalk, they're everywhere. I don't see that with scooters. I don't see that with any of these versions of an electric bike. Is there any way to have this discussion based on that particular category?
I believe that those are going to be
class 3.
I believe they would be class 3 or class 2. Maybe both look like that because the class 2 one, it basically has a throttle. It can be utilized without any pedaling. The class 3 one, the motor assist. And so I would guess that those bikes that you're talking about might be a mix between the different classes.
So if I'm reading the state thing, a person may operate a class 3 low-speed electric bicycle, which is, I guess, what he's talking about. Is that the same thing?
That's one of the.
Only if he or she is 16 years of age. So that's already a law for those. So I'm guessing that you'd have to be 16 or licensed or something for those. That's on 274.
Yes. That is for class 3 only. Class 1 and 2 though is not.
I don't think 1 and 2, I've been out there every day. I don't think that's a big issue. I mean, other than they scare people because they come out of nowhere, but people on bikes, you don't hear them coming either. I do think you should make them alert and tell them you're passing, but to tell an 8, 9, 10-year-old that hopefully they pick up on it. That's why I was saying maybe just kind of remind them. Most kids, to me, want to do the right thing. Yes, they just don't know. They need to be trained, and that's our responsibility. That's the adult's responsibility, not the village per se. I know it's the parents, but if we could put out friendly reminders on the path, just a little whatever, hey, alert somebody when you're passing, and now these class 3s, And I don't know how you pull somebody over on them and do all that. I don't know how to enforce it, but according to the state, they already have to be 16.
Maybe I missed it. Did you guys have a recommendation on one of these? Are you recommending that we do a less restrictive?
No,
This is just about a discussion, but this is just open discussion. There is an ordinance that forbids certain things like golf carts, go-karts, and electric motor vehicles already, like you can't have snowmobiles, ATVs, UTVs, stuff like that. So we already have that in place. But this is e-bikes and e-scooters, which I don't know if it actually raises to that level, but it's something that we are trying to discuss.
I do know that the class 3, the state says with the class 3, it goes over 28 or 30 miles an hour, that you have to have a driver's license. It has to be licensed and insured to be driven on the roadway. Because it shouldn't be driven on sidewalks.
So it's considered a full-on vehicle.
Exactly.
Because it's 28 or because it just.
Because of the speed and it has a throttle versus.
So the other ones, the class 2, not consider that because it only goes up to 20 with a throttle?
Correct. If it's below a certain speed, then it's less restrictive.
'Cause honestly, I think that's probably 90% of the issue is those ones, you know, and like I said, I don't know how to enforce it, but maybe there again, we put something out like, did you know, like, you bought your kid this, shame on you, that's like, it is technically against the law for them to ride that thing anywhere.
And as far as enforceability, it's a mixed bag. I mean, it's very difficult to enforce, although the per state statute, the different class of e-bikes should have a note on there, a tag identifying what class they are.
So, Michael, with these, or Chief, with these pedal assist class 3s, technically they could be pedaling that too, right? And not using, I don't know how these things work. I've never been on one. I'd kill myself. But you know what I mean? Like, so how do you enforce something? Like the state's telling you they can't drive it at 16, but can you prove that they're not just pedaling it? Other than they were going fast.
That's part of the difficulty, yeah.
Right.
And 16 is also not the same necessarily as driver's license. Most 16-year-olds will get the driver's license right away, but not every 16-year-old has a driver's license.
I don't mind taking the class 3, just ones that go 30 or whatever they are, and saying you have to have a driver's license. Just because, like, at that point, you're clearly going faster than most normal bikes would go. I mean, I see guys going pretty fast. I mean, Adam's like Lance Armstrong out there, but
that we wouldn't do anything with that because it's already in the law, right?
it's already in the law.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't say license, it says 16, but I think that would push them back, because once they get their license, they're not thinking about these things anyway, kind of thing.
I think you just have to probably put a reminder out about class 3 that it's not allowed.
Yeah, and it might be one of those things, hey, if you crashed it, you were breaking the law, and at that point, you know,
We will ticket you, yeah. I think, so what I'm hearing from everybody tonight is that, with the exception of class 3, which we will need to put out some information, everything else, we're looking to take a more educational route first, through signage, through, videos, things that we can do to alert the public on what the proper way is to use that, and that's how we want to move forward at this time. Is that correct?
yeah, and I would do also for how walkers and dog walkers and bicycles are to use a shared use path, because it is technically meant for both.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Okay, all right, we'll take that approach to start this and see where we go. Okay, moving on, our final presentation of the night is from Fair Graham. Seth, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, well, wanted to take some time tonight just to describe the results of the Western Boulevard Interceptor Study findings. The purpose of this study was really to take a look at the property that was it's located at the northwest corner of Illinois 47 and Route 72. And look at the options for providing that specific property with sewer service. There's been questions. The original intent for that property was to have sewer service provided from the east, extending from Daniel Boulevard. And it's always been planned for that property to eventually send the sewer that way. In efforts to allow for easier development, the question arose if the property could be connected into the Wester Boulevard trunk sewer and lift station. After doing some analysis of the existing service area for the Wester Boulevard trunk sewer and lift station, it was identified that the remaining properties that would be connected to the Wester Boulevard trunk sewer and lift station would not allow for this property to be connected into Wester Boulevard without creating capacity issues. That's not to say that it couldn't be connected into the Wester Boulevard station and trunk sewer. It could be, but there would likely need to be additional improvements related to upsizing the trunk sewer and lift station pumps, potentially the wet well, which would have some significant costs associated with it. So really, that's, I'll open it up to you guys for any questions, but that's kind of the high level analysis that was completed. We did look at properties that have been fully developed within the ultimate service area versus properties that have yet to develop. Also took a look at what those zoning classifications were for those undeveloped portions, which were largely commercial, and applied a conservative factor. That is not necessarily set in stone. As certain developments come along, there's opportunities that they could provide less flow than what we were projecting. There's opportunities for them to provide more. So this is just it's a study for a reason, but it gives a good outlook.
Obviously not the answer that we wanted, Seth, but you said that there's improvements that could be done to allow for them to utilize Wester Lift Station. Would that be more expensive to do those improvements or to go ahead and connect from that property to the Daniel Boulevard Lift Station?
When you look at opportunity cost, it would be more cost effective for them to connect to the Daniel Boulevard Lift Station.
Okay.
And I simply say that because, a lot of the sewer that would be connected from the western limits of Daniel Boulevard as it exists today would have to be extended in order to develop the northeast corner of Illinois 47 and 72. And so that cost would be associated with that property right there. So really the only additional cost to serve the property on the western side of 47 would just be to extend it underneath 47 and into the property.
And all this information will be available, so when people are looking to develop that property, they'll be able to utilize this then, because this has been a question that we've gotten from developers over and over and over again. So now we have this information.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's correct.
Is this something we'd give the guy selling the property this information so he can, as he's reaching out?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I will give that to him. And yeah, I mean, for future prospective developers, it just makes it a lot easier for us to be able to say, you got two options. You can pay $5+ million to upgrade the existing, or you can try to work out a deal with the landowners and your construction planning team to connect to Daniel. Neither is particularly cheap, but like Seth mentioned, connecting to the Daniel lift station is very likely less costly.
That also service north of Gobert's to Big Timber.
No, that would be a different trunk sewer. So the Daniel Boulevard trunk sewer actually serves Rhine King South to 72, bounded on the west by 47, and then obviously this little portion of property that's on the west side also falls into that basin as well. So the Andrew Boulevard trunk sewer that still goes to the Daniel Boulevard lift station, that would service the area north of Rhine King Road up to Big Timber.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Seth. I fear to ask, but does anyone have any older new business?
I just have one question. Pat, I was talking with a few residents in Carillon a week ago. Is there any way that we can get on Ranking Road, the bike path that's there? There's a lot of weeds growing through cracks. the curb line has a lot of weeds growing in through the curb line up and down there. Is there any way that we can like get that cleaned up? Maybe some weed spray in there and mitigate some of that?
I will jump in really quickly. We are actually in discussions right now with Schroeder, the MFT contractor, about bringing something to the board, a change order to redo that pathway.
As far as the weeds along the curb, that's usually the responsibility of the entity maintaining. You know, so if it's the HOA, I don't believe the village maintains the curb in front of the fire department. Normally that would fall on the fire department or the entity, the HOA or the village, if it was the village to maintain that. I know throughout the village, I see quite often Yellowstone string trimming the curb, the weeds back from the curb, and spring weed killer. It may not be every time they're out, but quite often I see them running down the curb lines, cutting, a nice controlled edge.
Are you talking about in the actual pathway itself or in
Both.
the?
That was both.
Okay.
There was some along there, but then in the actual pathway, there's a lot of cracks with stuff growing through the cracks.
Yep. And that should be coming to the board. Schroeder's not always the easiest to facilitate things with, but that will be coming to the board for a future discussion about actually redoing the pathway itself.
Okay, if there's no other older new business, we need to move into executive session. Michael, can you?
Yeah, does one of the trustees move to go into closed or executive session pursuant to 5 ILCS, thank you. 120/2C11, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the village.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
thank you.
Call the roll.
Trustee Pini,
Yes.
trustee Tarnell,
Yes.
trustee Hall,
Yes.
trustee Wangles,
Yes.
trustee Haig,
Yes.
trustee McCurdy.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, we'll be adjourning to executive session. We anticipate this to be a lengthy session, so we have nothing on